And he said, Coach, I got to tell you, Miss Humes kept me after. Because, you can't plot a graph without locating the asymptotes. I said, what? I said, I've been coaching a lot of years, but nobody ever gave me, what is an asymptote? So he was explaining to me in calculus, you've got to locate in the equation. And if you're going to plot a graph, with the axis and everything, you've got to locate the asymptotes. I said, Lenny, I'll never ask you again. And every time I see him, like I'll see him in town, he'll always, one day...
He's still plotting that graph.
Yeah. Well, he left earlier, and he had taken a napkin from the, and I'll never forget, it was at the Dunkin' Donuts right there near Plaza Pizza there. And he had left it on my steering wheel. He had the graph, and he had where the asymptotes allowed the graph
where the exact asymptotes was located.
The asymptotes.
Yes.
I'm surprised I can still pronounce asymptotes.
And I'll be saying it probably for the next week or so.
Yeah, exactly.
The asymptotes.
I'm gonna get a cat, name it Asymptotes.
Yeah. But we also had some great baseball players. I know when I started, now Ronnie Wilson, the guy who's going out to coach, his wife calls me 3 times a week from
You owe her money?
No. She's a townie. Maureen, Glenn, I don't know if you ever knew the Glenn family.
No.
There was Billy Glenn and Timmy Glenn. You ever heard of them? Well, they were rascals. They were good kids. But she's a townie through and through. I say, Maureen, you just called me yesterday. She says, yeah, but Mr. Fones, I'm from East Providence. I want to learn something new every single day about what's going on in East Providence.
Just keeping a tab.
Oh, yeah, she loves East Providence.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think we got a nice heck of a podcast to launch for tomorrow.
Well, I appreciate you inviting me. The art tone, when he told me, Tony, that I've known the art tone
for a long time.
He even pronounces it right. My goodness, I don't even pronounce it right.
My brother would be happy because he's an art tone.
Oh.
Half of the family is art tone, half of the family pronounces it O-tone.
Yeah.
They were running out of cash.
Said it didn't make a difference because none of us pronounced it right. It's O-Tony. So.
Well, your uncle, George.
Yep.
George was your uncle. He was the toughest dude. When you see that little insignia on he was the toughest dude.
Right on your shirt.
Yeah.
That's him?
And I'm not exaggerating.
That's him? That's where they drew it from?
When you saw George Artone, you behaved.
Yep.
He was a gentleman.
But you had to be too.
If somebody picked on one of his friends, the fight didn't last 5 seconds.
Yep.
He would knock them cold.
I had a conversation with the Paul Lamont, city manager, and that was the first thing that he said to me was, your father and your uncles, back in the day, they were a force to be reckoned with. You couldn't even look at a woman that was on their arm or say
Imagine
the
if you could have put skates on them, huh?
Oh, Mano. He was tough
I've
as
gotten
nails.
quite a lot of that.
You know what it is? He wasn't a wrestler. He didn't wrestle you. And he didn't start them, seriously. He didn't start the fights.
No,
Some of the guys would come down during the fasta in the Breakfast Hall. They would come
looking to be the king of the hill.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And they learned their lesson because boom, boom, and that was it. George Artone. Now, your dad was more the diplomat.
He was something.
Yeah.
That's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah. Well, because his nickname was Porky,
And
right?
he was Porky.
Porky.
Do you know how he got that nickname?
No,
I mean, because
no,
I was a little leery about asking. But I was in my 30s when it came up at my grandmother's house. And my aunt said, you don't know why they called him Porky? And I said, no. She goes, when we were all little kids, your grandmother wanted a picture. So she washed everybody's hair. She cut everybody's hair and then washed it. And when he came out of the bathtub, his hair was all sticking up. And they called him Porcupine. His siblings called him Porcupine for quite a while. And then for some reason, it just turned into Porky. And I'll run into people where they'll say, who's your father? I'll go, or they'll say, I know Georgie, I know Danny, I know Tony. I know Porky. I'm like, Tony's, no, I don't know him. Who's Tony?
Yeah.
They never even knew who his name was.
That was it back in those days. Everybody had a nickname.
Everybody had a nickname.
Everybody
Oh, I know. The same thing, Riverside, everyone's got a
The other
nickname.
day, Maureen Wilson
Or
called.
an alias.
Yeah.
And one of the, Maureen asked a favor of me. She says, do you mind writing a little letter? There's a fellow, famous hockey man, Jackie Ferreira, came from Fox Point. He was
where my mom's from.
All-State at LaSalle, All-American goaltender at Boston University. Then he went into hockey management. When Ronnie Wilson first got the job as the Mighty Ducks coach,
Yeah, Anaheim.
I was out there because my sister lived right nearby. And he had me over to the duck pond. And it was all Rhode Islanders.
Yep.
Timmy Army was his assistant coach.
Yep.
Jackie Ferreira was the general manager. A guy from Bristol whom I never really knew before, Tony Tavares, was the head of hockey operations at for the
Anaheim.
Disneyland.
Yep.
Because Disney owned the team. So this Jackie Ferreira lives out, and he went on to become. He was the general manager there for 5 years. Then he went on to the Montreal Canadiens. Then he went on to, I think, I don't know if it's Vancouver or someone, but he's not doing well. So she asked me, she said, do you mind writing him a little letter, cheer him up, bring back all the names, because when I played ball, I played with a lot of guys from Fox Point. And they all, I didn't know their first name. It was Zah, in fact, my buddy Ray Tax had a big booklet that a guy had dropped off one day, giving all the nicknames of all the guys from Fox Point.
That's cool.
We didn't know their first name. Well, listen, I probably talked their ears off, but I enjoyed
We
myself.
could chat for another
right, Bill.
hours and hours. Really, I really appreciate it. And I know, and it's tough. It's
Anytime.
not even an
Well,
easy
it was
thing
nice
to
to
chat with.
hear. You know, I go and watch the
Yes.
I didn't know what do they call that program? The sports teams.
Oh, the Unified.
Unified.
Yeah, yes.
I went to watch you because I go to most all the games.
Yeah. Oh, I know. But yeah,
I go to all the games.
you know, and that's why they reached out to you to ask you to write that letter, because one, you remember these names. Who remembers all these names? But that's so important. Like I say, how much Mr. Maynard meant to you.
Yeah.
You have that
I saw
many
his-
times over too.
I saw his plaque.
His plaque.
When
is
I
right on
saw
the
that
wall.
plaque, I got a little emotional
The
that
first day
day.
you came, we walked through, and I
Yeah.
walked around here, and I said, "Hey, you probably know this guy," and I didn't even know the story.
And you know who else was a great hockey player? And I'm not just saying I'm real good. He was a fine hockey player. Was Jimmy's dad.
Yes,
Jimmy
yes.
Senior.
Well, now, Mr. Maynard, wasn't he the goaltender for? Who did he play for? The Reds or someone? Does Mr. Maynard play for someone?
No, I don't believe.
Was he a goalie or?
No, I think he was a wing.
Oh, okay.
But you know what I learned later on? You know what he coached? He coached Providence College baseball.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I don't even know if Jimmy knows that.
Yeah.
I did I got a book on the history of Providence College. And when I read it, Dona Maynard, I said, you got to be kidding. And you know who else he managed? The precursor, the beginning of the Paw Sox. There was a team in a semi-pro team
Yeah.
with all the best ball players in not only Rhode Island but Mass. And he was the coach of that team, Mr. Maynard.
Yeah.
He knew more baseball in his little finger than all the rest of us. I'll never forget. And he could give you a dig. He's like Jimmy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I wasn't the fastest runner, Good field, not too good a hit. But one day I had bunted or something, and I got thrown out by about 5 feet, maybe more. And I came back to the bench, and he came up with that famous line. He said, "Hey, Fones, next time you run, take the piano off your back." I'll never forget. Those are the kind of things he would say.
Yeah.
He was a great, great guy.
Well,
Great guy.
thank you so much again.
No,
How many times are we going to
thanks
say bye here?
Thanks
It's so
for
tough.
inviting me.
I really again.
And we'll have you back for the
Thank
roundtable
you.
as well.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Peace. Good
And I'll-
morning, Riverside.
Good morning.